Do you stand up in the morning and wait a second before you trust your own legs? I do that. I did that for 2 years before I understood why. I'd swing my feet to the floor, sit on the edge of the bed, and just wait. Testing, making sure the ground was going to hold the way it used to. I'm Robert. I'm 83. I walk 2 miles most mornings now, no cane, no wall to hold on to. But there was a stretch of years where I didn't trust the first 10 steps out of bed. And I know a lot of you reading this know exactly what that waiting feels like. Here's what almost nobody explains clearly when neuropathy shows up. Overnight, while you sleep, your legs barely move for 6, 7, 8 hours. Blood that would normally get pushed back up toward your heart by your calf muscles just sits there, pooling in your lower legs and feet. If your nerves are already under stress from years of elevated blood sugar, that overnight pooling makes the morning numbness and unsteadiness worse, not because anything new is wrong, but because the system that normally moves that blood along has been idle all night. That's the piece I didn't know. I thought my morning wobble was the neuropathy getting worse day by day. Some of it was just physics, blood sitting still in legs that hadn't moved. Your doctor knows this, by the way. It's not a secret being kept from you. It's a matter of time. An 8-minute appointment has room for your labs, your prescriptions, your blood pressure. It doesn't have room to teach you a 4-movement morning routine. That's a teaching job, not a medicine job, and there's rarely anyone assigned to do the teaching. I get my own mail from the box at the end of the driveway every single morning, rain or shine, and I don't hold on to anything to do it. At 83, I take that as a small daily proof that the legs still work the way they're supposed to. I want to tell you about Arlene Fitch. 79 years old, retired postal clerk out of Duluth, Minnesota, spent 30 years on her feet sorting mail, and then diabetes and years of standing caught up with her nerves. She wrote that her mornings felt like walking on borrowed feet, like her legs belonged to someone she hadn't met yet. She'd been managing her blood sugar carefully with her doctor for over a decade, medication included, but the morning unsteadiness never got mentioned as something she could actually work on herself. That's the gap I want to close today. If your feet burn at night, or go numb, or feel cold no matter how many socks you wear, please don't ignore it. I almost did, and I'm 80 years old. For years I told myself it was just age, the tingling, the heaviness in my legs climbing the stairs. But it wasn't age. It was my blood sugar quietly damaging the nerves and the circulation in my legs, and almost nobody warned me in time. If you let it keep going, those little signals turn into something you can't undo. I wasn't willing to lose my feet or my independence. So I started doing one thing every single day to help support healthy blood sugar and protect my legs. I'll show you exactly what in this video. And if you want the simple support I personally use, there's a free presentation linked in the description below. Here are the 4 movements. All of them can be done sitting on the edge of your bed before your feet even touch the floor, and none of them take more than 90 seconds each. First, ankle circles. Rotate each foot slowly 10 times one direction, 10 times the other. This wakes the calf muscles that act as your body's second heart. Every time that muscle contracts, it squeezes the veins in your lower leg and helps push pooled blood back upward. Researchers who study venous return call this the calf muscle pump, and it's one of the most basic, well-documented mechanisms in circulatory physiology. Second, seated calf raises. Feet flat on the floor, heels lift up and down 20 times. Same pump mechanism, more forceful. This is also the exact kind of muscle contraction that pulls glucose out of your bloodstream through a pathway that doesn't require insulin to function, something exercise physiology research has documented for years. That matters for neuropathy specifically because it means moving your muscles is doing 2 jobs at once, circulation and blood sugar together. Third, toe splays and curls. Spread your toes apart as wide as you can, hold for 3 seconds, then curl them under 10 times. This works the small intrinsic muscles of the foot that often go quiet first in neuropathy, and it's also a simple way to check every single morning how much sensation you still have, an early warning system you're running yourself for free. Fourth, a seated marching motion, lifting each knee for 30 seconds like a slow march in your chair. This is the biggest muscle group of the four, and it gets more blood moving through the whole leg before you ever put weight on your feet. That's it. Ankle circles, calf raises, toe splays, seated marching. 90 seconds each, 6 minutes total before your feet touch the floor. I want to say something about the order because I've been asked before why it matters. I start with the ankles because they're the smallest joint and the easiest to wake up gently. Jumping straight into marching before the smaller muscles are engaged can feel jarring, especially if your balance is already shaky first thing in the morning. By the time I get to the seated marching, my calves and ankles have already been moving for a couple of minutes, so the bigger motion feels more stable, not less. It's a small detail, but for people with real balance concerns, the sequence itself is part of what makes it safe to do sitting down before you ever stand up. I also want to be honest that on some mornings, 6 minutes felt like a lot when I was tired or in a hurry. On those mornings, I did a shortened version, just the ankle circles and the calf raises, maybe 2 minutes total, rather than skipping the whole thing. Something small and consistent beats something perfect and occasional every time, in my experience. But movement alone is not the whole system, and I'd be doing you a disservice if I let you believe it was. 2 things go alongside it. First, hydration. A glass of water first thing before coffee. Dehydration thickens the blood slightly and makes that overnight pooling harder to clear. Researchers studying circulation and hydration have noted this connection. Second, a few minutes of skin and toenail inspection while you're already sitting there. Not because you're looking for something scary, because catching a small problem early while it's still small is one of the few things fully in your control. Movements, water, a look at your feet, a morning system, not a magic trick. These days I get up, do my 6 minutes, and I'm out the door for my walk before most of the street's even awake. I've gone whole seasons without a single stumble, something I could not have said for myself 6 years ago. Arlene told our group that after building this routine into her mornings, alongside her existing medication and her doctor's guidance, the borrowed feet feeling started showing up less often. Some mornings it simply wasn't there at all. I share her story as one woman's experience, not a promise of what will happen for you. Neuropathy has as many histories as there are people living with it. I think often about the difference between the seniors I know who are still walking to see their friends, still getting themselves to church or the grocery store or their grandkids' houses, and the ones who've quietly stopped leaving the house at all. It's rarely one big thing that separates them. It's the 6 minutes nobody's watching, the quiet, boring hours before anyone else is even awake. None of this replaces your medication, and please don't stop anything your doctor has you on because of what I've said here. This is meant to sit alongside your treatment, not instead of it. Talk to your doctor about your specific numbers and your specific nerve damage before changing your routine. I'll also say this plainly. These 4 movements will not undo years of nerve damage by themselves, and I'd be lying to you if I said they would. What they do is give your circulation a fighting chance first thing in the morning, at the exact moment your body is at its most still and your blood is at its most pooled. Some mornings the difference is barely noticeable. Other mornings, especially after a few weeks of doing it daily, the difference between 6 minutes of movement and none at all is the difference between trusting my first 10 steps and not. I think about how much of getting older gets blamed on the calendar, when really it's about the 6 minutes we do or don't give our own bodies before the day starts. Arlene told me once that the hardest part wasn't the movements themselves, it was remembering to do them before her feet ever touched the floor, back when the old habit was just swinging her legs out of bed and standing straight up. She started keeping a sticky note on her nightstand, right where she'd see it before her feet moved, just as a reminder for the first few weeks until it became automatic. If you try these 4 movements tomorrow morning, come back and tell me in the comments which one you felt the most. And if this kind of real, practical information matters to you, subscribe, because we're going to keep digging into what actually works, one mechanism at a time. If you made it this far, you already understand more about your own legs than most people your age ever will. That matters. You know now that the burning, the numbness, the cold feet, they trace back to one thing: blood sugar slowly working against your nerves and circulation. And you know the goal isn't a miracle. It's protecting your ability to stand, to walk, to stay independent. That's why, alongside everything I showed you today, I use a simple daily support to help keep my blood sugar in a healthy range, so my legs keep carrying me where I want to go. I put the free presentation in the description below. Go watch it. And as always, keep working with your doctor. This supports your routine. It doesn't replace it.